Welcome to Zagging 101. My name is Guy Danhoff, and why others zig, we zag. And we are wrapping up our fall series here with episode 7, as today we're going to be looking at providing tips on using a social media platform such as Hootsuite. And we're really kind of excited to be doing that because we're going to show you guys how you can manage multiple platforms just from one tool. For those of you guys who may be new to Zagging 101, we have a very specific mission, and we basically exist to help professionals in the HPE community develop your influence, your impact, and your advocacy using social media. And today's gonna be kind of cool because we're gonna show you a big platform that you can use to manage multiple social media platforms and channels. My name is Guy Danoff. You can see there, there's a brief bio that I have there. To keep it really short, basically I work with MOSHAPE and Missouri Healthy Schools, as well as Shape America in a variety of capacities, all related to digital media, marketing, and strategy. I also been fortunate enough to co-author a textbook that just came out last February, in which I authored a chapter on digital marketing, as well as editing the entire book. And I'm also an assistant professor of health and sports sciences at Missouri Baptist University in St. Louis. And I teach mainly classes such as fitness management, sport communications, sport marketing, and even sport and social media. I know it's kind of fun. I get to do that. And I'd like to introduce my co-host, former MBU alum, Lauren Krebs. Lauren?
Hello, Zag fam. So I'm as well the co-host of Zagging 101. I kind of got in this group with the Missouri Coordinated School Health Coalition. I was their digital media consultant, and now I'm kind of going over more to the Healthy School Initiative side, and I'm part of that communications team. So I currently am a freshman counselor at Missouri Baptist University, so I get to work with high school students and help them with the transition to college. I have a big heart for health and fitness. I took exercise science that's what I got my undergrad in. I absolutely loved it. So right now I coach soccer and softball, as well as do sport specific training with athletes anywhere from 5 to 18. I'm a dog mom to that cute little dog. Her name is Nala. She's a Great Pyrenees Lab mix. And I am coffee obsessed. And if you ever want to grab coffee, or if you need some from me and you want to buy me a coffee, it'll get done. So with that, let's get started.
So guys, what we'd like you to do for our replay viewers, we'd like you to subscribe to MoShape's YouTube channel, as we want to keep building our subscribers. And also, if you ring the bell, you'll also get the latest notifications and alert every time we post a YouTube video. So you want to make sure you hit subscribe, and also drop us a comment too if you love the video. So we'd love to hear from you. Okay, today we have two very, very special guests. It's kind of funny how this all began, because just a little over 90 days ago, we did a presentation. It was our first national presentation, and we were joined by our executive director, Tom Lowry. And Tom, we want to welcome you because this started, like I said, way back when, amidst COVID. And also we have joining us from the national office at Shape America, Joey Martelli. And Joey, want to welcome you. Joey oversees the public relations side as well as manages their social media. And Joey and I actually get together every 2 weeks. We have a standing call just to talk strategy, twice a month, so that we can just stay on the same page, learn from each other, as well as, a lot of times it's really helpful for me, as I'll get a lot of tips or a heads up on some things coming down the pike from Shape America that certainly, would kind of affect us here in Missouri. So we want to welcome both of you guys. It's kind of cool that Zagging 101 kind of was birthed out of the fact that when we did that training way back when on social media. So here we are today.
So we're going to kind of unpack what Hootsuite is in a very brief version, and then the whole rest of Zagging 101, we're going to kind of hopefully explain that as best as possible. So what is Hootsuite? A social media management tool with features to help with planning, scheduling, and syndicating social posts. So I kind of put the definition of syndicating, which is publish or broadcast material simultaneously on multiple platforms. And Guy, do you have anything else to add to this?
Yeah, the main thing that this did for us guys in terms of the planning is it really helped us organize our social media strategy because of what these features do. And I can tell you that I use the tool mainly at first just for social listening, but you're going to find out that this thing does a lot of things. And just so we're clear, Hootsuite's one of many platforms. We just so happen to use it. I've been using it ever since I've been teaching my sport and social media class because I was part of their ambassador program. So we had free access to the pro version, but there's plenty of versions out there. And with that, why don't we bring in Joey at this time? And Joey, why don't you kind of talk to us a little bit about why you guys made the pivot from, because you guys are using Sprout Social and now you're using Hootsuite.
Yeah, no, and it's that's a great way to kind of enter this conversation. And we are referencing Hootsuite in this meeting, and as Guy kind of alluded to, there are so many different platforms that you can use. We've personally used Sprout Social as well. They are kind of similar. The key is not to necessarily go all in on Hootsuite. It's to go all in on the idea of Hootsuite.
Right.
And that idea is of a social media management tool. And as we've kind of discussed in previous Zagging 101s, the idea of having a plan around social media. So the things that Hootsuite does best are the things that, if you listen to these, you should be familiar with. I mean, the idea of scheduling, syndicating is a big one, especially when you're doing coordinated pushes around advocacy or some of the other big picture stuff you do at your state conventions. So even in your personal time, if you want to send out the same message across different platforms, this tool will allow you to do that easily. And what that does for you in small increments, and then it'll get larger, is it frees up your time, especially if you're doing a lot of different things on 7 different platforms from 3 different accounts. When you have something like this at your disposal and you have a calendar and an idea and a plan, when you start putting things together into it and start sending things out, it really makes a huge difference in terms of what you do. So for us specifically at Shape America around convention, I can tell you when Guy and I were going to be in Salt Lake City this year, Hootsuite was going to be the central focus of making sure that we had everything planned out. Right. Everything was going to be scheduled outside of the things that obviously we needed to get on site. So that's kind of what this does. Like I said, don't get so caught up on Hootsuite as like the thing to do. It's the idea of it and the idea of managing your entire social media footprint with these tools to kind of really get behind.
Yeah, and Joey, thanks for that. And the other thing is I want to now bring in Tom Lowry, our executive director at MOSHAPE. And Tom, when MOSHAPE made the decision to, we made some changes. I moved from being the board of director and holding Chris's position as overseeing marketing communications to now being in a consulting role. And I know one of the first things that we talked about, I said, Hootsuite would benefit me just from the social listening to get started. And now we're at a level based on, with our convention coming up in less than 5 weeks, now we're at a point where we're going to be using a tool such as Hootsuite so we can manage from here all the way on out, even a few weeks past our convention. So I was wondering if you could let everyone know why this was so pivotal to us in our state as we were growing our social media.
Well, Guy, you definitely are a top influencer. I can recall the time that we were sitting down over a cup of coffee and you described Hootsuite, and within 5 minutes we had it ordered and in your hands. I grew up and have lived in this profession prior to snail mail, prior to email, prior to all types of messaging that we have now. The data for my dissertation was done on a mainframe with key punch. And if you think that was fun, guess what? So we've gone a long way, but one of the things that was critically important to us, we thought it was nice when Facebook came out. We had our own Facebook page, then we had our Twitter page, and now Instagram and things like that. But we not only have to keep up with each of the social media platforms, but we have to know how to use them. From my standpoint, as executive director, it's all about messaging, engaging, supporting and advocating with our members and for our members. So it's not only just to them, but how do we know that we have an impact? If we cannot measure that, we know right now with our MemberClicks management software, I can find out how many of our 1,150 members have never opened an email, have never gone to the website. The same thing happens with Hootsuite. We can see the penetration into the population. What populations are we hitting? Are we doing enough? And then just what zagging is all about. When do we need to pivot? When do we need to step up and put more emphasis in one area than another area? Who is really seeing this? It's nice to know that we have followers from all over the country, and in some cases from foreign countries, but it's important for MOSHAPE to know how many of our people are not only seeing the information, but commenting, reacting, retweeting, sending this to other people, sharing in every way. And so when we know that, then that'll give us some ideas about what we need to do. If we're not really having impact, if we're not penetrating certain markets, then we have to change our focus. And this is why we have Guy doing such a fabulous job, because he understands the mechanics of it. And so he and I are talking a number of times every day, which I love. And it's all about, what do we need to do with this? What do we need to do with that? And we're constantly looking for ways to engage our members in ways that gives them content that's relevant. And it's without tools like this, too many state associations, too many universities, too many schools send out emails. They send out stuff on any social media platform. But unless you see who comments and who likes and shares and things like that, you really don't have any idea. So I'm just thrilled to be a part of this. And we have a great team here. Mary Dreemeyer is, oh my goodness, she answers questions before I can even ask them. So efficient. And we have everybody working together. We have a team of about 4 people, and we're continuing to add to it because it's critically important that if we have messages, if we have important information for members or for others to share, we have to know what we're doing. So thanks for the opportunity to be a part of this. And this is just going to help us grow and answer all the questions that we have. We can never stop asking questions.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tom. So Lauren, we can go to the next slide. All right. So guys, you know, one of the things I'm very sensitive to, and those that are students of mine, they kind of know this today, is I'm really don't want to fire hose anyone here or be like the fire hydrant, open the lid, and just this huge velocity of information comes at you. So I kind of wanted to give a framework of really 4 key features of Hootsuite. And all 4, I mean, are so powerful and have made, I'll be honest, my job in the role that I play so much easier, and especially around your conventions. My gosh, Joey hit it out of the park. So with that, Lauren, I know that you were using this at DASA. Why don't you, kick things off with the auto scheduling?
Yeah, so automatic scheduling, and I think Joey did such a great job of showing how important it was, especially when you're managing multiple platforms. But even if you are just managing one, for instance, events. So I ran an event with a nonprofit, and I had to be at the event and work it as well as run the social media. So this tool was so crucial for me to be able to automatically be posting like when the next game was, how the game went, and all of those. And I could do that and have them posted before I got to the event. And then I was posting real-time data when I was at the event and didn't have to worry about those already automatic scheduling. Another great thing I think about automatic scheduling, to sell you on that, is the news cycles sometimes aren't at the greatest times. So if you don't want to wake up at 5 in the morning or post at 11 at night, this is another great tool that I really appreciated that piece in it. That way I could post it and I could go to sleep on time. And so anything else to add with that, Guy?
All I'm going to say is because of our great friends like Terry Drain and also, Danny Garcia out in California, we actually now will do a posting out of MoShape, specifically for the California time zone so that, you guys can see our content and so that we can also be social listening on the things that you guys are doing. So again, this thing really helps cut through, a lot of clutter by keeping us so organized, by having that stuff pre-scheduled. And I'm going to ask Joey a question. Joey, you already talked about auto scheduling, but let's get into this topic that we hear frequently. And what percentage should you be maybe auto scheduling versus, doing it live or manual scheduling? Because that's a question that comes up a lot when we talk about starting to use an auto schedule tool.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and it's one that I wish I had a hard and firm answer. You should do it as much as possible. It all depends on your workflow and your content. I can tell you from our side, we do it way less than I want to, only because we have so many things that change last moment. And if I take the mindset personally that if I'm going to be sending out the post, the tweet, the Instagram picture, I want to make sure that when I click publish or send, that the most up-to-date, real, true information is in there. So we schedule, I would say maybe about 10% right now. Some of our more, static pieces of content, are scheduled like what's up. I'm sorry, what made your week, which comes out Friday mornings. If I am out for some reason or another, we will schedule. So I was at the beach a few weeks ago and we had a full week's worth of content scheduled. So we do sometimes get out there with, how much we have to do. The one thing that I will circle back to, because Tom made a great point that I think should really be highlighted is, when you're dealing with your community, and your community could be online, it could be personal, a content piece that goes out, say on Facebook, and then goes out on Twitter and on Instagram, it should look a little different. So it had mentioned sometimes you can send the same post to 4 different platforms. That is a little bit of an outdated idea on social media, because think of it in your personal life. The things that you do and say on Facebook most likely are going to be different on Twitter. Most likely they're going to be different on Instagram. Not only that, the people that follow you on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram, while there is some overlap, most likely they're going to be different at their core. So you should always be thinking about talking to, and this is, I know, once again, stuff that we've talked about on previous episodes, but what audience are you talking to? So
Right.
What Hootsuite does to kind of tie it all together is, if you have a piece of content or an idea that you're trying to get out there, you can put it into Hootsuite, let's say on the Facebook platform, tailor the message to that, and then move it over to different platforms and tailor the messages at that time, and then send it all out. So that way, when you're sending something out, I'll use a hypothetical that really does happen to us, speak out day. What I'll do is the idea of, okay, speak out day is this day, you register by this day, this is
Right.
kind of the concept behind it. We put all of that in, and then I take that and then kind of tailor it to each of the platforms, and then we send it all out at one time. So that's kind of the way to use it in a way that kind of you get the most out of it, while also, kind of keeping your content moving at a way that you want to, dealing with stuff that you kind of deal with throughout, the year, whether it's a convention, whether it's, any other piece of content that you're sending out.
Yeah, that's excellent. And, with that, I want to move over to social monitoring. As we said earlier, Tom was so instrumental when he asked me, what did I need first? And I said, Tom, before we should really be saying anything, we really need to get a chance to see what's going on and what the chatter is. I call it the chatter. But basically, social media monitoring can also be substituted for social media listening. You've heard me talking that probably in almost every episode of Zagging 101, because I think it's so important to absolutely know what know what audience that you're listening to. What audience is it? Who is it? What kind of influencers are they? Or, what's the credibility of the source? Things like that. Because it really does help, give you an advantage to then think about how maybe you want to respond, or especially right now with all the resources. It's really interesting how you'll just, see a resource come out, and then you'll see people, commenting on it, retweeting with a comment and saying they love it, but they want more, or, they're sharing information, and you can see what's working, what's not working. So I'm gonna tell you right now, if you did nothing else, here it is. I do this every episode. Here it is. If you did nothing else with a tool like Hootsuite, it is worth its weight in gold if all you did was social monitor. And to be honest with you, I used it for the first 90 days. That's all I did with it. I did not auto schedule anything. And the reason being is, to Joey's point, with COVID, things seemed like they were changing daily. And I didn't want to be that guy out there putting out information that wasn't factual, that wasn't true, because then we're now no longer considered a trusted resource. And I didn't want to do that. So the social listening and monitoring is so key. And Lauren, is there anything else you want to add to that?
I think the biggest thing with that, as well as the social media monitoring, I feel like whenever I worked with a nonprofit, there was something with the consistency. And I found a quote that I feel like really falls into that. And it's, "The secret of our successes on social media comes from the consistency we brought to all of our social channels and is understanding to our audiences." And I just felt like that really did go back to the social media monitoring and the consistency and making sure the brand is all across boards, as well as social listening and making sure you're tailoring it to your audience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Joey, anything you want to add to the monitoring piece?
No, I think that covered it pretty well.
Tom, anything from your end? Because you know that this was a big initiative for us to get started when we brought Hootsuite first into MOSHAPE.
Well, I think it's critically important that our board of directors, and especially our executive committee, is up to date with what the results are and what we need to do, because maybe if we can't zig or we can't zag, then we have to zug and find a new way. So we're always looking at how we can improve. And this monitoring program just gives us all the opportunity to do this.
Yeah, and so with that, I want to move to the next one. And you guys, obviously, no surprise, performance reporting. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, just from the standpoint, we did a whole episode. We zagged heavy on data analytics. And again, performance reporting, to Tom's point, to also Joey's point and Lauren's point, performance reporting is so key. It's so huge. I don't understand how people can make decisions without looking at their performance data, but Hootsuite has got a plethora of different things that you can use, very similar to the other platforms. And Joe and I were talking before, we got on camera today, and that is, each of the individual tools have fantastic analytics today, but Hootsuite even gives you just one more layer, if you would, of performance reporting that you can use. And Joe, is there anything else you want to say on the reporting?
No, and I'll piggyback off of what Guy just mentioned, and we'll say that Hootsuite, Sprout Social, all of these content management platforms came up because when I don't say we, like I invented it, but when social media started to get big, the platforms didn't have a real way to really measure things. You couldn't compare, you couldn't contrast. It was very basic. So Hootsuite and Sprout, what they basically did was they were able to create a way to kind of tie everything together. And another one that we use is Keyhole, which is hashtag management. And really that way you could compare and see what's doing well, what isn't. It really gave you that next level. As Guy mentioned, and I can tell you, for us personally, the platforms, the back end of the platforms, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, their analytics and their reporting tools are really, really good now. So I can tell you most of the time when we look at data, I'm pulling it directly from the platform. Whereas when I even started this job a few years ago, you couldn't do that. So like I said, the idea of Hootsuite is really what you should get behind. And if you're a little apprehensive, maybe if cost is a little bit of a barrier and you don't want to pay up for the pro account, you can start looking into your account and your businesses or your personal accounts on the back end of those platforms, and you'll be able to get some of that good data, which will show you the key insights of what you should know, which posts are doing well, what time of the day you should be posting, things like that. And it's those like simple things that once you start conquering that and you start putting that into practice, everything else kind of falls into place and you can really start diving deeper and really making huge impacts. So like I said, the idea of Hootsuite is really what we're after. You shouldn't be married to one or the other in terms of, oh, this one's way better than the other one. It's just the idea that you should be taking a different look at some of this stuff because it'll help you immensely.
Yeah, and to our president, Dr. Jochef, who just asked the question in the chat, they're basically the same thing, but when we mean performance reporting, the tool will actually kind of give you a snapshot of it, where some of it will just give you raw data analytics, like in the form of Excel file downloads. So you actually get both. You get reporting tools and you get analytics. They kind of serve the same purpose. And that's why basically one of the things we'll be doing moving forward is creating a course called Zagging 101 Academy. And what we want to do is set up scenarios to get you guys the opportunity to look at the back end and then give you kind of a case study so you guys can start to look at this data and go through an exercise of how to explain what you're seeing after we do training on it, of course. But this is a big topic, especially for those of you guys are in high level management, or if you're someone who's on this webinar now who has to manage these social media tools. This is a really big key of blocking and tackling that we need to do. So that's the third key feature of Hootsuite. And Lauren, why don't you wrap this up on the fourth tool?
Yes, so basic task management. And so this is more of for the managers out there, not as much for the leadership, I would say. So one of the things that whenever I worked with social media was like competitor like analysis. So looking at your competitors and comparing and contrasting to what you're doing and see if you could do it better, or if they have something innovative that you should kind of take approach. Or I'm kind of going to go back to what Tom said, and the basic task management might be responding to messages, responding to mentions, responding to comments, retweets, and making sure you're not missing anything. That's the biggest thing I would say with basic task management that Hootsuite is really helpful with. Anything else to add?
I'll ask Joey that question. Anything from your side, Joey, that you do?
The only thing that I will say, and it's going to sound very basic and it kind of goes into this, there is immense value in just looking at your own feed and seeing when you have and what you have posted. Because sometimes you get so caught in the weeds with trying to do new stuff and respond and kind of get all of this stuff handled that, you know, if you're looking to just kind of reset, look at what you've posted and then, you know, identify if there are any gaps or if you, oh, I was supposed to mention this thing or this thing. That really helps. And I can tell you, even at our level, you know, our Twitter feed has like 27,000 followers. I do that weekly just to make sure, even though I have a schedule, even though we have a content management system, sometimes nothing beats you just actually looking at, you know, what you have produced, what is out there, what people are engaging with, and then kind of doing a mental reset from there.
Yeah, great point.
That's great.
So Lauren, you created this new word last week. Here it is again, the Zag takeover. What's going to happen now?
All right. So Guy, I'm going to throw it over to you.
Okay.
And we are actually going to give you guys a tutorial on Hootsuite live in the actual website.
Okay, hang on a second.
Minor intermission.
Yep, hold on.
For those who are watching, they practiced this ahead of time and it did work.
It did, except now I can't find where the feed is. That's the problem. Actually, I think it'll come up this way. If I remember correctly, there's a screen, there's Hootsuite right there. There we go. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
All right, this does work. Okay. Wow, look at that. There's a lot of stuff going on. All right, guys, so that I don't blow your minds, I literally am keeping this at, like, this thing is like 1 week old. And I want to thank Laura Beckman. As you can see down here, the logo here, this is actually Missouri Healthy Schools, because we're now at that stage too where we needed to, you know, started to use a tool like this. So we just got this last week. It's brand new for us on this side. And and the reason why I wanted to use this platform, I didn't want to overwhelm you with so much information. And you think, how in the world could I ever do that? Well, when you see it broken down like this, it becomes kind of easy. So when you look at it, just again, I'm just going through a short tutorial, but I'm just going to go through some of the basic things that you can do. Right here is you have, you know, your tweets. This is where you can auto schedule. Like you can see in 13 minutes, this tweet that I have, which is promoting an upcoming event on October 7th that has to do with a statewide webinar actually with Sean Slade on the Whisk model, we auto schedule this so that, again, for things like events, it's really easy to use this tool to go ahead and do that. Now we come over to this stream. So you get 10 streams that you can have per platform. I'm just basically showing you from our Twitter, okay? And then you get our mentions. This is where people puts at your name into it, that you see here, at Missouri Healthy Kids. And then you can scroll up and see what people are saying about you. And a lot of times they're just tagging you for strategic reasons, so that hopefully you'll like and or retweet with comment, things like that. As you guys probably all know, spread kindness, not COVID, certainly is one of the big things going on in the world of HPE today. And so this is your mentions. Then you have here, this is kind of new, and I'll get Joey to weigh on this in a second. This is actually our YouTube channel. So we can go ahead and actually be able to follow right here from this dashboard. This is what I love. It's a dashboard, and I can see what's going on, you know, with our YouTube channel. And then this is where we kind of, you know, if this were competitors, this would be spying. But in the case of how we use it, this is to complement the work that's being done really around the country. As you can see here, Missouri Healthy Schools is following MOSHAPE. So we can see the posts that they're doing. We can see Jersey right there. And she has decided, you can read that right there. So let's say I wanted to go ahead right now and retweet that. See my cursor? I now just retweeted it. It's just that easy to go back and then see, so you don't miss anything. Now this is where, Joey, we got Shape America. So we have the Shape America feed right here so that we can see the same thing. Is there something that we should probably retweet? Well, guess what? We've been talking about this a lot, and this is a very important topic on the reentry guidelines. So we just, we actually retweeted that earlier today, so it didn't work. But anyways, this is where now we're following that. Now, this is what I love. I love the ability where we can follow hashtags. This is the brand new released hashtag called Spread Kindness, Not COVID. And we can see in descending order in real time what's going on with that hashtag feed. And so again, if we miss something, that we can go ahead and retweet that, like it, or make a comment. This one's actually pretty new. Awesome job. And okay, that's really good. And we just retweeted that. Just there, you can see it said tweet retweeted. We also have Health Moves Minds right here. We also have Zagging 101, and we also have Mo Healthy Media. So again, you can make any streams that you want. It says right here, you can add your social networks. You can also add your streams to make a post. Then it's just like you're used to saying, where do you want to post to? This is what Joey was talking about, where you can select what post you want to make. So in this case, say I want to do something to Twitter, I can then type in the text, and I can say, what an amazing Zagging 101 webinar with these amazing people. And then if I want to come right down here, and you can go to actually all this free content that's out there for images and things that are royalty free, or you can bring in your own. And let's see if this works, Lauren. There it is right there. Lauren secretly took a picture at the very beginning. And now you see it's uploaded. And the cool thing here is now you can see right here in this box, you can see what your tweet looks like. And there's that picture that I know White Jersey was taking it. Lauren actually took it. Now here's what's cool. I could post that now, where I could schedule it. And I'm going to schedule it for 5:30 today. That's fine. It says 5:30. Here's my date. I can hit done. And now it's, I got to move this out of the way for a second. Close that off. And now it's going to be saved. And then at that time, it will, launch and go out. So Joey, with that, I kind of just gave an overview, again, kind of more of a beginner's, take at this. But is there any other things you'd like to point out?
Yeah, and there was a great comment in the chat that I want to highlight, and that was from Lori about how this looks very similar to TweetDeck, and it does, and it is basically. And with the way that Guy has this one set up, this is for all intents and purposes TweetDeck because all of the views are on Twitter. So if you
Right.
look and see the Twitter logo in the top left of each of these columns, when you have everything set up, it's a little harder to follow because you're coordinating between Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So it gives you that little indication. The way that we have it personally set up on our end is all of them are kind of together. So we'll have maybe 3 Twitter views. A lot of it is our stream, maybe our DMs and our mentions, and then we'll have our Facebook, and then we'll have our Instagram, and then I don't know if we have LinkedIn in there because LinkedIn we only use once or twice a month or so, but it kind of gives you the view, and I described TweetDeck like this, too. What this does is it basically takes 5 different internet browser tabs and puts it into one screen, and it allows you to manage it as you just saw with what Guy did. Going between all of those different touch points, whether it's a hashtag, whether it's a mention, whether it's different accounts, how long that takes you within your normal day to kind of navigate that. It's not exactly the most, tough thing, but it's way easier when you kind of have it all like that and you have it all kind of in one view for you, and you can kind of just go in at your leisure and kind of go through it and do it like that and then respond to it. So, I think it's great stuff to really dive into this and set it up. I mean, I think honestly, you get almost more enjoyment once you set it up and you kind of see things unfold in real time. It's really cool to see that view of it because it kind of allows you to, see how things are happening and what's going on. I always tell the story that when I first got this job, I work with a bunch of people internally, and they were like, okay, well, we need to do this and that and schedules and this is coming. And I said, well, the first thing that I'm going to do is honestly maybe send out a tweet or two tomorrow, but I'm just going to sit there and just scroll through the entire timeline just to see what's going on, what are people talking about, what's unfolding, because that'll almost give you more information than trying to stress yourself out over, oh, the deadline for this is this day and this graphic needs to go with this and this hashtag has to be used here. A lot of it is like once you start to just watch and see and learn what people are talking about, it helps you so much, and it does that little social listening piece, as Guy said. So I know he kind of laid out how he was using it for that purpose. Even just looking at your timeline will help you with that purpose too.
Well, exactly. And just one other thing I want to show you guys, this is where it gets kind of fun, is this calendar view. And so when you're in a meeting, you can see how I've auto-scheduled this content, right? I got 3 things that have been auto-scheduled. These 2 have already gone because you can see the cross out on the time. And so when you're in a meeting, say, for example, like I'm with, Mary Dreimeyer, Chris, and Tom, and we're in a meeting, we can see all this. We can see and say, are we missing anything, so that we are having it in the calendar. And this is just one of the best ways, especially if you're really going to double down on your social media presence, having this tool, especially for people who are highly organized. This is, to me, is where the biggest value is in doing that. So I really love the fact you get this view as well. And this is something that is really helping us out a lot. So with that, guys, there's obviously analytics to this. Now I don't have it set up, but that's where you'd see your analytics. And so guys, again, I didn't want to go into you can see right here where you can have the Instagram story even. And granted, the one other thing I will say, and Joe, you can speak to this, it also has a feature that's super cool, that once you've made a post scheduled, it will allow you to reschedule it auto-wise too. And I was wondering if you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, and that's a great point that Guy made, and it's one that I can tell, when you're managing accounts and you have, a certain thing that is coming up. I know this is a weird year to use this because everything's changed, but hypothetically, if we were having a normal quote unquote convention and we had a housing deadline that was a certain day, we'll say February 1st, we would go in and say, okay, on December 28th, January 15th, January 28th, and then February 1st, we need to put out a housing deadline post. And then I would go in and you do the legacy post, as Guy said. And what it'll do is it'll pull in a post that you may have previously sent. And from there, you can go in and edit it, and then schedule it to have it get sent out. So what that does, the one thing and the easiest thing is it saves you a ton of time. It just, when you can start scheduling content that far out, and you can kind of
Right.
know that, okay, this is the bridge we're going to cross on this day, and you can get that done in advance. Everyone's a busy person, especially when you're working in the nonprofit world, and you're sometimes the person that manages 27 different things. To have that done in of itself is so valuable. And like Guy said, there's so many little pieces of this that pay for itself or are just worthwhile, even if you're using the free version, to kind of tackle. And that would be one as an example.
Yeah, and that's why, Dennis, to kind of, I know there's been some chat going on, but that's why this tool is so invaluable to us as we get set for our virtual convention. That way it'd be very impossible for us to miss any session time, getting that promotion out, whether it be any award winners, at the awards banquet, any of the featured pieces we want to do or featured content. Again, it's all right here, and everyone can see it, and everyone's working off the same playbook. So that's why we kind of want to introduce this to you, today in this training, to say, look, you can grow into this. I showed you just a simple way to use it, but we'll be growing with this as we add more platforms as well. But we kind of want to just give you a bird's eye view, if you would, of kind of what this thing can do. And with that, unless anyone has any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and stop to share on this, and we'll get back to the slides. Is there anything anyone would like to see? All right, we're back. All right, Lauren, so pick us up from here.
All right, so go ahead, Guy. You want to thank our sponsor?
Yeah, again, guys, this seriously, we're so thankful and grateful for Heart Zones. They'll be our main sponsor for our upcoming convention. They've are a sponsor of our MOSHAPE Minute, as well as Zagging 101. And we always want to give a shout out to the great work that they do and how they're helping impact certainly our community within the physical education world. And just want to thank them for their continued support of what we're trying to do. All right, guys, here it is. Pop quiz time. Let you guys get ready so that you guys can go ahead and, again, this is going to be the first person who responds. So, Lauren, why don't you tell them what they're going to win today?
All right. So the winner receives 1 free hour training session on Hootsuite or media management of their choice with Zagging 101 Coast and Joey.
And Joey? Are you kidding me? This guy's usually $500 an hour. What the heck? This is a deal.
I was going to say, yeah, my going rate is rapidly plummeting if it were just given away this time now. But for you guys, I'll do it.
All right. That's what we love. Hey, Joey, you had the question. You know what? We never let a guest do it, but we are today. This is why we're Zag 101. We're breaking protocol. I normally ask the questions, but I'm going to let you ask the question that we talked about earlier, because it's a great question, and I cannot wait to see who wins.
Yep. First person in the chat who responds correctly. And this is going to be, a little open-ended. So what is one of the 4 pieces of a social media management tool, in this case specifically Hootsuite, that will provide value that we kind of highlighted today? So one of the 4 pieces that was on that slide, that guy. Oh, we got a lot of
Dennis. Oh my gosh, our president. How about that?
There you go.
But hold on. Here's the problem. I forgot to read the disclaimer that if you are part of MOSHAPE, you can't actually win. Besides, Dennis has one of the best giving hearts of anyone I know. And Dennis, would it be okay to give this to the person who asked, who responded second?
I think he said yes.
Okay. All right. So let's bring in Anna. Anna, who's the next person?
My sister.
Your sister?
Michelle Huff.
Automatic scheduling. Yeah, that's it. So Jersey, unbelievable.
And I can't vote. So yeah. We just texted about this. Yeah.
Have them over in.
Nice.
Wouldn't data analysis fit?
Yeah. Hold on. Wait a minute. We got to recheck this.
I mean, data analysis, does it
Because it's
Yeah,
like
performance reports.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. Then we have Lori. Lori is our winner.
Sorry,
Uh,
Michelle.
Hey, Lori,
It's
Lori,
okay.
where are you from? Can you type that in the chat?
I apologize, Lori. My fault.
Our bad. She probably just saw my name and was like, "Let's go, Jersey."
Out of New York. Oh my gosh, this ought to be good. So let's see, how can we get Lori's contact info? Lori, could you just give us your email address and we'll be able to contact you? From New York. That's awesome.
Well, and the other thing that I will say, if you're bummed out, you're not getting this exclusive one-on-one time. All of these sites and even the platforms themselves do a really great job of breaking down how to get the most out of this. So if you go onto Hootsuite, or if you just type in like Hootsuite tutorial or Hootsuite guide, you will have more stuff at your disposal than you could possibly need. So the way that I use it personally, and we're just learning new stuff even today with some of our projects, is go through it and kind of wade your way through it. And then if you run into an issue or a question, honestly, if you just type that directly into Google, like Hootsuite, and then the issue you're facing or the question you have, you'll get so many different responses and so many forums and videos. So, feel free to do that too, because sometimes that'll be the best teacher, is really just going in and looking at it for yourself. And then once you kind of reach a piece where you're like, I don't quite get this, why would you do it this way? Type it in or reach out to us. Yeah, I feel free to reach out to me and we can kind of go over it. But there's so much stuff on social media, on the internet, good and bad, but mostly good, that you're going to be able to find answers to your questions fairly easily, especially with platforms like this that are being used by millions of people.
Yeah. All right, Lauren, want to wrap it up?
Yes, so we are at that time again. If you guys could take a few minutes and write your key takeaway of the Sagging 101. Again, it just really helps us kind of know what content that you guys are getting out of it, as well as kind of what we are going to maybe work on next. So I really appreciate that. If you guys could please, please, please put your key takeaway in the chat box right now as Guy closes us out.
All right, guys. Well, I just want to again thank Tom Lowry, our executive director, and Joey for both coming on this particular episode, considering we kind of started everything off way back when, and that actually invented or created the need for Zagging 101. And I just want to say, just thank you to everyone who's been watching us. I cannot believe the amount of replay views we've been getting. It's just really amazing how this service or this live webinar has benefited you. We always appreciate all the feedback we get, whether it's the text messages, the emails, sometimes the phone calls. And it's just great to know that we're helping you guys do the three things that we said we would do, was help each and every one of you, obviously, help develop your influence, your impact, and your ability to even become better at advocacy using these tools. And all I can say is we're so blessed to be able to do this. Basically, guys, I know people are wondering what's next. I will just give you a little teaser, if you would. Here's a few things that I think you guys can look forward to. Number one, we are looking at Zagging 101 Academy, which will be like probably a 4-week course, short course that will, kind of go into more depth, especially as we start with more people who either manage the tools, or some people who are like executive directors, or even the president or president-elect of, say, even like Shape America, for example. We're also looking at another new thing that we want to roll out at some point called Zag Talk. And so we'll have details about that. And last but not least, Laura and I feel so committed after we take a little break, recoup, figure where we want to go next. And we will continue with Zagging 101, except we're just not going to be doing it in this live platform like we've done it previously, because we know that people's time is so valuable now that everyone's back in school and the focus is certainly on our students. And so with that being said, we're going to give you, a big dose, a heavy weekly dose of zagging on social media, but it's just not going to be in the same format that you're used to. But we are going to have other ways that you can get engaged and still stay involved with the Zag fam, as well as the things that we're doing to keep you guys on the cutting edge of zagging all the time. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop the broadcast. And just thank you guys for tuning in again to this broadcast. And lastly, if you're new, hit the subscribe button right here, because that way you get all the updates on all the new materials that we put out right here on the MOSHAPE YouTube channel. And we want to thank you guys for watching.